Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Restituto, and I'm a musician from Northport, New York. And today, I am officially back in the studio for the first time in quite some time, almost 2 weeks actually, from a really big trip that I did, a three-state trip. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the vlogs. I went from New York to Nashville, from Nashville to Cali, and from Cali to Texas, and from Texas back to New York, and it was quite the trip. It was a lot of fun. It was exhausting, but it was a really, really, really cool experience. And I want to talk about a couple of things that I learned throughout the trip that now traveling for that long by myself, some of the things that I learned, some recommendations I could give. The first thing that I learned is it is exhausting. And I have a new respect for touring musicians because I think every musician always wants to go on tour and loves the idea of going on tour and thinks it's the coolest thing to travel and see the world, but it is exhausting. It is traveling. And so I think in the 10 days that I traveled, I think I slept in 5 different beds between 2 different places in Nashville, 2 different places, or technically almost 3 different places in California, and then one place in Dallas. So so 4 or 5 different beds in 10 days. You're constantly moving, constantly traveling on planes, off planes. It's exhausting. And one thing that I would probably do differently is I would probably leave myself a little bit more time to just relax because I was up from whatever time I got up, so somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning until about 11 o'clock at night every single night, and I was just out of my hotel or out of my Airbnb just doing stuff all day, and I didn't sit down, I didn't relax, I didn't do anything to chill. And that's one thing I would probably change, especially if I went on tour. When I go on tour one day, is more so the fact of just relaxing a little bit more and just sitting down to watch Netflix or just hang out, maybe scroll through my phone a little, just because instead of just going, because it's exhausting. And by the end of it, you're like, oh, you can't. There was literally I came home on a Friday, so on the Thursday I was literally in the Uber and I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I was falling asleep in the back of the Uber because I had a 40-minute Uber drive. So that's one thing, is I would probably learn to rest a little bit more, with a new respect for touring artists. Sleep is the next thing is how important sleep is, because there were a couple days that I had to get up really early because of travel, because I had a really early flight, or because I did an interview that was really early in the morning. So and I went to bed really late the night before. And sleep is really important because without it, it's miserable. It's not even fun to travel. It's not even fun to see the sights if you're exhausted. So as much as I'm I'm let's just a little bit of sleep because I'll sleep when I get back. It's exhausting and it's not enjoyable if you don't get sleep. So sleep is super important. I learned how much more fun it is to travel with other people. Um, I've traveled by myself before, but not for this length of time. And depending on where you go, it's way more fun to travel with people. California, I gotta say, like I said, I went from Nashville to California to Dallas. California and Dallas. Well, I technically wasn't even alone in Dallas because I hung out with people the entire time, so that was really cool. But in California, I was pretty much alone the entire time, and there was so much to do and sightsee that it was actually pretty decent. But Nashville is a beautiful city, but it is not fun to go by yourself because it's such a party city. There's so many groups of people, and if you're just by yourself, it's not that fun. So, the next point I want to talk about is expecting the unexpected, in a couple different ways. The first way we're going to talk about is financially. It is so much more expensive than you expect. So, say you budget a certain amount of money, expect 10, 20, 30% more. Budget that. So, for example, there were so many expenses that I had that I did not budget for, that were just came up out of nowhere. For example, I think I spent $700 more on hotels than I had planned to, mainly because I show up to California and I accidentally double booked my hotel for the last day instead of the first day, so I don't have a place to stay. So I have to spend $250 for that first night, and then the place that I do end up staying is in the ghetto and it was not safe. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta ditch this hotel. So I went to another hotel that's another $350 or $400 or whatever the case is. So it ended up being $700 extra in hotels, or an hour before I boarded the flight to go from Nashville to California, I ended up booking a car, which I'm so glad that I did. But even there, that's another $250 or whatever the case is. So it was these constant expenses that I was not planning for, that I'm glad I did. That I'm not complaining about them, but it's just be prepared, expect the unexpected. Additionally, is be one thing I would say is be flexible, because it's so funny how things work out. There were three specific meetings that I traveled specifically for. Why I booked these trips were three specific meetings: one in Nashville and two in California. And all three of them canceled, unfortunately, like, for different reasons. But I was not able to meet with all three of the people that I intentionally booked these trips for. But because of that, like, I was still had these opportunities to meet these incredible people. Like, I did I met, because I had these trips booked. Brad Steele and King family, Dennis King, drove down to meet me in Nashville, and I spent a couple days with them. I met some subscribers in Nashville. I got to see the beautiful area of California. And then I got to meet some incredible people, some Danielle Maria as a YouTuber, and then some incredible subscribers in Dallas. So the idea, like, so yeah, I did travel to meet these people. Specifically, I was not able to meet, but I met some really other great people. So, like, just learning to be flexible, I think, is super important. And then one thing I would totally recommend it as my last recommendation is to find friends that have lived in the area that you're going to travel to, so you can get recommendations of safe areas to go, not safe areas to go, best food places to go, worst food places to go, what to do, what's expensive, what's not expensive, what's overpriced, what's not overpriced. There was a friend, Josh, that I actually met up in Nashville. He's from New York, but I had a beer with him down in Nashville, and he gave me this massive list of things in California to check out and do. And I was constantly on the phone with him, telling him all these great things I was checking out and looking at in California. And I'm so glad that I spoke to him, because there was so much information that he had. It was so much more fun to travel, because I knew from somebody that I didn't have to discover it all myself. He gave me this huge list, and it was really fun. So if I can give that recommendation, if you know anybody that has lived or lives in the area, to first of all reach out to them, see if you can meet up with them, just hang out for a little, or two, just get ideas of places that you can go visit. So all in all, I had an incredible trip. I'm totally planning on traveling more. Even by the end of this year, there's places I want to go. I want to go back to Dallas for a high school football game, because, like, the Friday night lights of, like, somebody was saying that there's 12,000 people that fit in their high school stadium, which is mind blowing to me. You're lucky if you get 300 at a game in New York. Additionally, I want to travel to DC. I want to travel to Atlanta. I might be going to an Alabama game, like a college football game. So a lot of traveling to come. I'm really excited. I hope you guys enjoyed the travel vlogs. If you have not seen them, go check them out. It would mean so much to me. The vlogs and my original music on the channel are the most, like, important stuff to me. So if you want to really support the channel, that is the best way to support it. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. And if you plan to travel, take some of these tips. Like I said, expect the unexpected, and just have fun. Be flexible and have fun, because I think that if you're not flexible, things can get a little stressful. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. God bless and peace out.